The office smells like toner and burnt coffee. Fluorescent lights buzz above green ledger paper and adding machines that never sleep. You stamp receipts, tie out columns, and pretend the numbers are just numbers. Then the cash starts arriving in bricks. Too neat, too frequent. This is your life, level by level, inside a drug money laundering network. The entry point, the bookkeeper. Where everyday tasks conceal hidden dangers. Your desk sits under a vent that never quite works. Heat in winter, damp in summer. You spend 10 hours a day with fat ledgers, carbon copies, and a gray adding machine that chews tape like jerky. You reconcile deposits from local, cash businesses, a chain of car washes, a vending distributor, a nightclub that always claims a broken register. Bank slips come back stamped same day. Always rounded amounts. $9,800, $9,700. Never $10,000. You tell yourself it's none of your business. You tell yourself every firm has messy clients. You tell yourself your job is to balance, not to ask. But the pattern keeps tapping you on the shoulder. Cash in, wire out. Cash in, wire out. A courier arrives twice a week with a canvas bag and a forced smile, and the partner tells you to log it as miscellaneous receipts. One afternoon you find the destination on a transfer memo. A Cayman Islands account with a name that sounds like a hotel. You stare at the ink until it feels like it's staring back. You learn fast that ledgers don't just record money, they record silence. The mid-level strategist, the analyst. Where numbers reveal hidden truths. The promotion comes with a door that closes and a key to the file room. Now you see the full portfolio. Layered transfers, intercompany, loans, and monthly statements that arrive by courier instead of mail. You build spreadsheets on a beige terminal, exporting totals to reports that executives skim in 90 seconds. The work is cleaner up here. The dirt is hidden better. You tell yourself it's just structuring. You tell yourself it's just tax planning. You tell yourself everyone uses offshore vehicles. Then you get the instructions. Split deposits into 9 branches, keep each under the reporting threshold, move the balance through a shell in Panama, then invest it back as legitimate capital. You're given names, real names attached to code words and passphrases. Paranoia becomes a routine like brushing your teeth. You check the corridor before carrying a folder. You listen for the click of a second phone on the line. A colleague jokes about cleaning dirty money, but nobody laughs too long. The numbers stop being abstract. They become footprints, and you're the one smoothing them out. The trusted insider, the consultant. Where deeper alliances form dangerous ties. You're flown to hotel conference rooms with mirrored walls and soft jazz that feels wrong at 9 a.m. You sit with lawyers who speak in careful verbs and accountants who never write full names. Calls come at odd hours: Zurich, Miami, Bogota, because money doesn't sleep and neither does the network. You're asked to design flows that look boring. Trade invoices, equipment leases, consulting fees, billed to companies with mail drops and empty offices. You tell yourself you're valued for your brain. You tell yourself you're building a career. You tell yourself you can step away whenever you want. Then you see a file accidentally left on top of a fax machine. Seizure reports, street names, quantities, a chain that starts with cocaine cash and ends with legitimate real estate. Not rumors, not vibes, paper. So you start your own paper. A notebook with dates, account numbers, and who approved what. Photocopies slipped into a manila envelope. A second set of keys. A private map, drawn quietly, in case you need an exit. You're not just laundering money, now you're laundering your own fear into something you can hold. You've learned the pattern, and you've started a file of your own. Next, you stop being a technician and become a bridge between suits and cartel muscle, and bridges get used. The handler, the opportunist. Where access becomes leverage, and leverage becomes a collar. The first time you meet the muscle, it isn't in an alley. It's in a steakhouse off Brickell Avenue, under low amber light and a server who never makes eye contact. A man in a crisp polo slides a second phone across the table like a tip. Burner. Prepaid. He calls you by the wrong version of your name, on purpose. You start doing favors that aren't math. You pick up cashier's checks from a check cashing spot on Flagler Street. You walk a slim envelope into a private banker's office at Ocean Bank. You sit in an embassy-adjacent lobby while someone scans your passport and smiles too long. The network stops being an org chart. It becomes faces, voices, hands. You tell yourself it's just coordination. You tell yourself it's just logistics. You tell yourself you're still behind the glass. Then you get a list of who can be leaned on. A branch manager with a second mortgage, a freight forwarder with an ICE hold, a club owner with a probation officer. Your value is access, and access is something they can price. At this level, you don't carry money, you carry people, folded neatly into your contacts like contraband. The double agent, the informant. Where your evidence becomes currency, and currency buys time. You choose a Tuesday because Tuesday feels invisible. You walk into a federal building with a plastic folder and a throat that won't swallow right. The lobby smells like floor wax. Your phone is off. Your hands are clean. You say you have information, and the receptionist says nothing at all, just taps a number and watches you like you might bolt. In a small interview room, they offer water in a paper cup and ask for basics. Names, dates, amounts, locations. You hand over copies, wire confirmations, invoice templates, the Cayman account number, the code words scribbled in your notebook margins. They photograph pages. They slide a form across the table. Source number. Contact protocol. Do not freelance. You tell yourself this buys protection. You tell yourself this buys distance. You tell yourself this buys a future. Then the agent explains the reality. You keep your job. You keep attending meetings. You keep answering that burner when it rings. You wear a wire only when they say, and you never tell anyone you're doing it, not your closest coworker, not the lawyer who seems safe. You become a corridor with doors on both ends, and every step echoes like it's being recorded. Endgame. The Burned Informant. Where exposure turns routine into a countdown. It breaks on something stupid. A missed call you don't return fast enough. A photocopy that disappears from the file room. A question you ask with the wrong tone. The burner vibrates at 2:13 a.m. and the text is only an address: NW 36th Street, a warehouse district where the streetlights skip whole blocks. You don't go alone. You can't, but you still go, because not going is its own answer. The metal door rolls up with a chain rattle. Inside, pallets, shrink wrap, a forklift battery charging in the corner with an acid smell. Two men stand too far apart. Nobody offers a chair. They ask about your new friends. They ask why a federal sedan was seen near your apartment complex in Little Havana. You tell yourself you can talk your way out. You tell yourself you can stall until daylight. You tell yourself help is closer than it feels. Then they take your phone and scroll. Not the messages, the contacts. Names become liabilities in their hands. In the endgame, you learn the oldest accounting rule. Sooner or later, every discrepancy gets found. You keep thinking rank will change the feeling. It doesn't. The rooms get nicer. The paper gets cleaner. The threats get quieter and more precise. You trade fear for procedure, then procedure for secrets, then secrets for the thin hope that a file folder can outweigh a network. Even after the last meeting, you still hear adding machines in your sleep counting what you hid, and what you couldn't.